It is what it is.
For what it's worth, I think it suits you, honestly. That's just my opinion. I think it's great.
You should
and
consider bringing this more often.
yeah, next AMA, right? This is just the look.
Yeah, guys, I don't know. We have to rack up like billions in order for me to do that.
We will decide what we will bet on to make you put on those cat ears.
Yeah.
I saw that some of you already like wanted me to wear a fursuit. Probably not happening, guys. I'm sorry. You collectively don't have enough bread in order for me to do so.
You know, Andre is the person that steers the ship. He's doing a lot of stuff, and he doesn't smile all that much. But today, seeing Rome with his ears, I got a genuine smile.
Enough to bring a smile.
Of Rome, but also seeing higher and higher numbers of players attending our AMA makes me especially excited. So,
wait, how much is
hello everyone. It's already 260.
Whoa. Okay, that's much bigger, yeah, than I expected. Hello, Lecco NFT.
And going up.
We have some of your questions later on as well.
Yeah, I think today's AMA will be one of the most dense AMAs in terms of the not only number of questions, but also the volume of the answers. So
yes.
I think I will be able to pay less attention to chat because I see a lot of people writing something in chat. But I even got myself a cheat sheet with answers to some of the questions because they are quite big. So I'm pretty sure that we will be able to put another AMA list based on today's chat. But sorry if we won't be able to answer all of the questions or comments.
So, Rome, remind me if I'm wrong, will this have like an upload somewhere that we can watch afterwards? This is done.
Yeah, we are definitely going to have this AMA session uploaded. So don't worry about that, guys.
Yeah. The reason I bring that up is because when I opened the spreadsheet and saw the amount of questions, I was well under the impression this is going to be probably our longest one to date. This looks like it might be well over an hour. We might be here for a while. I don't know. Let's see how it goes. But if for whatever reason you got to go, live calls, just keep in mind what Rome said. We're going to have recordings and everything.
Yep. We actually are already recording, just waiting for like some of you who are a bit late to the party to join us. And then we're going to start. Where are my cats? My cats are chilling. They don't have to go to work each and every day. So, yeah. This AMA session is recording.
Yeah, I've seen what Saint said, and I completely agree. Let's try and keep it in English. There's a reason why English is being spoken in the primary language of this game, and this is an AMA. If you guys want us to answer your questions, I think it's a good start to speak in a language that we can, answer these questions in. So please, let's try and keep it in English, okay?
Yeah, and just like a heads up to modes. So guys, if you see that somebody is or spamming in a different language, like on and on and on, you can just mute them for the time being, like an hour or so. No need to do a harsh punishment, but still.
But suffice it to say, actually, Custom TV has mentioned a great point. I'm in Singapore. There's a lot of people celebrating Chinese New Year. So happy Chinese New Year. That's happening right now, guys. We would love to celebrate a little bit with you guys, and we have some exciting stuff that we've been sharing anyway. So, yeah.
How are you enjoying our Lunar New Year events? And how many of you already get the fireworks? Tell us. By the way, it's already been 5 minutes. So
let's get on the way,
I guess let's get on the way. This AMA session will be quite unusual because Andrew will do most of the talking. There is a good reason for that. Basically, token is coming, TGE is coming, and the main expert on all stuff token related is Andrew, and yeah, Tom is a bit unstable today, as you all can see in the chat. So
yes.
Andrew will take the wheel.
Can you guys hear me okay? Am I actually unstable?
Answer. You're good. Don't listen to him. So yeah, I guess we can start, and I would like to start with a brief introduction and kind of summarize the results of the previous stage that we had just ended, which was phase 2, and proxy token functionality becoming available in the game. We've been quite impressed by, in many ways, not only by the amount of users that we saw, which was record-breaking, amount of active users and average user activity that we've been monitoring. It was through the roof, and we are so excited to see that even prior to TGE. We also continue to see more and more often some recognition of our project in different media, and the most recent one that made me especially excited was the recent rating of Web3 games by Dapradar, where I was surprised to see our project in the first place. That's what keeps us going, and we are seeing that the results are following our actions, and that is all thanks to our loyal audience. Thanks to all of you guys. So thank you for that.
Thank you, guys.
And today's AMA is probably the biggest one, at least in terms of how much I have in the cheat sheet for the answers to the questions that are, as guys said before, many of them are token related, TGE related, and I'll try to address and answer most of them in the most precise way that is possible today. And I guess we can move on and start with some questions that we've got. Rom, would you mind reading some of them for me?
Yeah, for sure. So the first question was related to the token. It was the charging cost is ridiculously high, but is it an appropriate price compared to the token price? Compare the total amount of token with amounts that pass big time tokenomics and listing price head. It is quite possible that one shard will fall below 5 cents in current bad market situation. How can we stay motivated with the current charging cost?
Okay, so first of all, I think the best way to answer to this question is that to highlight that we specifically designed the mechanic of charging items to have a flexible price that depends on the user activity. And I would answer part of this question later on when I would refer to tokenomics. We will have a special section on today's AMA where it will be not like answer to the question, but I would like to talk through our general concept of tokenomics and some of the issues that are referred to in this question will be answered there as well. When it comes to the price and is it high or low, I think the main thing to keep in mind is that based on our overall tokenomics architecture, our token is community driven, and the only main source of tokens within the game ecosystem and outside of it are the players. So that basically explains why the token price is based and is a result of the user activity. So if the price is high, that supposedly means that players overall and their activity is setting it to the specific threshold. And that is also explains what would be the supply on the market. So I'll stop here for this question, but we will definitely revert back to this talking about tokenomics a couple of questions later. Let's tackle the next one.
Yeah, so why is the difference in luck not reflected in the difference in token drop? For example, someone with 3k luck is not dropping 3x more than someone with 1k luck. Why is it that if I raise my luck level by, let's say, 200, I don't see a difference in drop? I should see at least 2 or 3% different. Why do small islands pay better than great islands? Because during the last AMA session, it was said that greater islands should drop more.
Okay, so there are several questions here. I will try to answer them all. So obviously, token drop rate is by far most common topic we see in chats, and we understand that it's something that users care a lot about. And due to the complexity of the game, it can be quite hard to recognize any patterns or understand or see immediate precise results. So I think it's worth noting and highlighting some general logic here once again. The attraction force, that is the main and effectively only parameter that users have on them, on their characters, is something that defines the effectiveness of token drop rate and probability of it. However, it is important to pay attention and keep in mind that it's not just a simple percentage chance. And there are also factors that, like amount of the players involved, the activity of the players, that are also affecting token drop rates. So when one is trying to compare the results in different runs by different players, it is important to keep in mind that to be able to see very small difference, you should have ideal experiment when two players are doing exactly the same actions at the same moment in the game and comparing the results, which would be apples to apples. If any of the factors varies, such as like one player played in the morning where less users are active, another player played afternoon, all those factors and effectively tokens are distributed among the active player base at any given moment would come into play. And it might be extremely hard without like big amount of experiments, big amount of measurements to see difference. And sometimes it might seem even that there is no correlation, but we are constantly monitoring our analytics and are making sure that the design of the game, that is the more attraction force, the more token drop, is always true. So just want to note that it's extremely hard to arrange the exactly ideal experiment to minimize or remove the effect of all the factors that come into play when token drop is happening. So please keep that in mind. And I think that all of you agree that on a broader scale, there is obvious correlation of how much luck you have and how much tokens drop in general. When it comes to the size of the islands, the only thing I want to add here is that one of the reasons why some users might find less drops on greater islands might come from the fact that greater islands have more objects of drop, which are hidden like chests that you need to dig out and so on. So one of the reasons is that it's harder not to miss something on a bigger island. But once again, we have verified many times that the token drop and number of objects dropping on each island is proportionate to their size. So we don't see any evidence based on our analytics that size of the island doesn't correlate with the amount of tokens player get from it. and probably have to maybe pay attention to how much of this island you clear out or something like this. Also, small spoiler is that we have feature in plans in our roadmap that will make it easier for players to see the results of visiting each adventure, such as number of tokens drops in particular. And maybe that would make it easier for you to compare results and see them in the first place.
Yep. So a lot of this boils down to data, wrong conclusions, like Andrew said. But let's move on. A lot to get through. The next question is, talking about TGE, is Shards going to be launched on...
I think you missed the previous one. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. That's my bad. So this question is, are the tokens consumed by fast charging, or are they destroyed? Transferred to the team's wallet, perhaps?
Okay, so I guess here it's a good time to make a pause and refer to our wiki and tokenomics architecture in general. I think we did not pay a lot of time and attention to that on AMAs, but it's a good time to refer to it and provide some general comments. So I think if I share my screen, everybody should see it. If not, please somebody make a screenshot and post it in the chat. So the overall logic of the tokenomics of WorldShards and the main theses are as follows. First of all, it's a community-driven token. What that means is that it is a fair launch token, and we don't have any allocation of tokens for the team. Neither we have investors who own the token and would be able to vest it or liquidate it at any time. So the majority, this is similar architecture to what Big Time has, although we have some difference in design of the game. But overall idea is that we want our game not to and community not to experience any other than community actors on the market, and 60% of the overall emission is attributed to player rewards. The other two buckets are attributed to marketing and community incentives and ecosystem and liquidity. Talking about the ecosystem, one of the questions that will follow on is like cross-chain support and all of these incentives that are aimed to make our token accessible and available in different networks on different platforms. So this is what ecosystem and liquidity is attributed to, as well as provision of liquidity for exchanges by market makers and so on. With that being said, all of this token allocation is subject to 6-year vesting. So we are recognizing that it's extremely important to gradually increase the overall supply of the token as the game would become will be home to more users, and as the token will be more and more accessible on different platforms such as exchanges and so on. So the initial circulating supply will be quite low, and the only source of this supply at TGE and post-TGE, the main source of this supply would be coming from the community and players who are active in the game. What else to add to that? I think we can move on to the next question, and sometimes I will be just getting back to the slide or some of the numbers to better explain and answer the questions that we have here.
Sure, Tom, we will take this.
Sure. So talking about TGE, the Shards going to be launched on ETH mainnet only, or can we expect a multi-chain currency? WorldShards can easily get a partnership with Layer 0, other bridging solutions to integrate Shards in many chains and increase the liquidity on DEX. It's way cheaper to provide liquidity on Base, for example, instead of ETH mainnet. So I think this is another question for Andrew.
Yeah, so the initial plan for TGE is to have shards available on ERC network, which is Ethereum mainnet in the first place. However, we obviously recognize the benefits of being present cross-chain and for shards token to be a multi-chain token. And we definitely will pursue this goal as we will operate the game. With all that being said, the cross-chain functionality, for that to happen, we would also require some support and some work to be done by OpenLoot. And we are communicating with OpenLoot and our partners to support that in the future. But we also recognize that it's extremely important to keep focus on the most beneficial goals in the upcoming future, which is at the moment TGE and listing on centralized exchanges. We recognize that for token to be actively traded on DEX, it should be available on lower commission layers and blockchains. And we see that as an opportunity to expand our ecosystem that we will pursue in future post-TGE. I think we can move on.
So, make incentives for players to buy and burn shards on day one. Leaderboard where players can get islands, artifacts, decorative items, even gems based on shards burning.
Yeah, so these and other questions that we have in this AMA are referring to burn-in mechanics, and I think it's worth revisiting the tokenomics here and clarify following that burn-in mechanics, as they essentially mean the tokens are being destroyed. Those mechanics are usually implemented by ecosystems that have infinite supply of tokens that can be generated. And because of that, to keep the circulating supply limited, those ecosystems, and that ETH included, have to burn some tokens from time to time to keep the circulating supply at a reasonable level. Our tokenomics architecture is based on the fact that our token supply and maximum circulating amount is fixed and limited and cannot be changed. What that means is that we do not necessarily need the burn-in mechanic as it is, and the tokens spent in the game or used by other means in the game are effectively returned to the reward pool from which players will be able to receive them once again. However, as the amount of players will be increasing, as will increase the circulating supply outside of the ecosystem, that token pool will be depleted at certain rate. And the overall design is aimed to the fact that circulating supply would be balanced through the time with the amount of users both inside and outside of the ecosystem that use the token and interact with it in different means. But general logic is that tokens spent in the game are not burned or destroyed, but are returned to the token pool that is attributed to in-game rewards. But important addition to that is one of the things that this question also refers to is to increase of utility of the tokens in the game. And for that, we have very extensive list of features we have planned. That is not limited only to those which you were able to see or use in the game right now. And I can definitely say that there would be more ways to use and spend tokens in the game in the future. And some of these features you can anticipate to see in the game in the coming months. So we are totally in line with the idea and the plan to increase the amount of utility that token will have in the game as we develop. Let's
moving
tackle
on.
the next one.
Any plans to integrate staking VIP for holding shards? A good perk would be a boost in gold limits per day. If you're holding 10k shards, 10% increase, 20k shards, 20% increase, etc.
Yeah, so I think what's being referred here is VIP system that is present in big time that effectively incentivizes users to hold more tokens. We don't have exactly this kind of functionality in plans as of today. But as I said, some of the features that will provide additional utility for the tokens actually would definitely make it obvious that players who have specific amount of tokens or like have some tokens put aside will have more opportunities in the game that they could get if they own required amount of tokens, and most of the time that will be some opportunities that players can get if they have tokens on hands. So no specifics for today, but in different way than VIP program and by increase of the utility, it will definitely make sense to not to get rid of all the tokens you have on hands, but keep them for some occasional opportunities that you will be having in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, I think you should take a break and take a nice breather because there's going to be a very, very intense question in a second. So,
yeah.
Okay.
And quite a lot of them. So the next one is, as the token approaches its listing, how will the balance be achieved between boosting the token's value in the open market and ensuring that the in-game economy remains sustainable and encourages players to invest? Are there specific strategies in place to address potential market fluctuations that could affect the token's value, such as offering incentives for players to hold on to it rather than sell it?
Okay, so I think part of this question has just been answered. I would answer the rest of it. So I think I also referred to that in tokenomics. The general idea here is that the main thing that ensures long-time sustainability and maintenance of value of token and the game economy is several facts. First, the finite maximum supply of the tokens. The second thing is extensive vesting scheme and release of the tokens for 6 years that we have planned. And also the fact that we do not do a lot of quite popular in other projects activities of token airdrops for whatever reason and so on. And the mechanic and functionality of how the tokens are actually issued in the game, all of that is basically designed to make sure that the tokens would always resemble some value of time or some assets that players hold in the game, and the flexibility that we designed around the how in what amount, how often, and how actively players could get token rewards. All of that was aimed, first of all, to make the economy balance itself, regardless of the market conditions, and to flexibly adapt to the changing in the environment. But I need to add a disclaimer here that regardless of what any project would do and how good the economy is designed, market will always be the biggest factor to the prices of any assets that are traded. So we cannot be independent on the market, but what we are doing is trying to design the system that will not add any entropy to what is naturally caused by the market. and to be as flexible and as balanced as it can be for us to make sure that we will at least perform decently compared to other tokens on the market, other games. And I think we are quite on a good track for that. So yeah, we cannot revert market effects, and we will never be trying to manipulate market in any way. What we are doing is designing a system for a community-driven token to be sustainable and well balanced. I think I finished the answer, so we can move on to the next one.
You finished a short book, is what you finished. But yeah, after these sales, the whole community is expecting Tier 1 CEX listings on TGE. Is that going to happen? Tier 1 means Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, Upbit. Or can we expect only Tier 2? Bybit, OKX, KuCoin, BitGet, HTX. These are crazy Tier 1, Tier 2s, if you ask me, but okay. Andrew?
What I always see is that definitions of Tier 1, Tier 2 are different from depending on the person you talk to, but nevertheless, the information about, like, I will address also the number of questions that are related to the specific numbers, details, or anything related to TGE, answering this question as well. So obviously, we are working to ensure that our token will be listed at with the best partners and best exchanges possible, not only for TGE, but obviously at TGE, none of the projects is able to be listed everywhere. So we are prioritizing top partners and best exchanges to support us during TGE, but regardless of what the list would be, we will have long way and a lot of work ahead of us to make sure that the token presence will be expanded. And that is one of our main priorities. I must say that we have quite good progress in TGE preparations. We cannot disclose any name of any partner until the official announcement will be made on both sides. That is just under NDA. So sorry if I cannot give you any specifics right now. In any case, the announcement of TGE date and all the specifics that are able to be disclosed will happen supposedly like 14 to 7 days prior to TGE. So that would not come as a surprise for any of you. And all the information that is able to be disclosed will be announced with this TGE announcement when it's there. For now, I can just say that we are obviously aiming to partner with exchanges and partners that would be in line with where our project stands in Web3 landscape. And we believe that we are one of the most prominent games on the market. So we don't anticipate any things that we cannot achieve, maybe not at TGE, but over the next years that have to come, because we are effectively planning to operate WorldShards not for 1 year, not for 2 years, but for many years to come.
Exactly. Well said. Fully adhere to that. So let's move on. I know a new box sale is approaching. Please don't drop it before TGE. Market is still digesting after the last box. Prices are stable for weeks. Releasing a new box would now make many lose confidence in the project. If a new box would be released after TGE, can we have a burn to buy mechanic where we buy the box of shards and it gets burned instantly?
As has been said many times, the sales are always in line and in correlation with the surges of players that are active in the ecosystem. And as I said before, we've seen record-breaking numbers during the phase 2, increase in new players, increase of activity in old players, and we addressed that with the sales. Obviously, when we are in between phase 2 and phase 3 and effectively TGE, the user activity would not be that high. And I think it's safe to say that we don't anticipate to run any sales before TGE. Rather, you should expect them around TGE or even later, because we will never do sales just for the sake of making money, not looking back at the numbers of our audience and the actual demand that is there at the moment. So I think that answers the question.
Yep, and the last one before you can take a short breather. What is the current supply of tokens to be circulating upon CEX launch? How much liquidity has been set aside?
So this is one of the more specific questions that and the information that would be made available with the announcement of TGE. I see messages popping up in chat asking when exactly TGE will happen. So as soon as the TGE date is set, the official announcement would be made. I just said that usually it's happening between like 2 or 1 week ahead of TGE. And just to make clear what is our philosophy and our approach to TGE looks like, we really are aiming to make a solid splash. And for that, we want to not just list token anywhere, but have a decent launch with decent partners. And that requires some coordination, some paperwork to be done, and solid amount of activities to be meticulously planned. And that is exactly what we are doing right now. So there is a saying that says that you will never have a second chance of making the first impression. So I guess that applies to TG as well. And it might, if for those of you who want TG ASAP, I would instead answer that we are optimizing and planning for the TG not to happen as fast as possible, but as good as possible. And as I said before, we are having quite a good progress there. So I hope that we will very soon announce some more details that you will all see. Okay, I think I managed to go through the first batch of questions that were quite extensive.
Congratulations.
So I'm happy to pass the mic to you guys to answer some of the questions that are related to something less related to TGE, token supply, and everything else.
Okay, let's top that off with you asking the next question. Take us away, Andrew.
Sure. So will there be a pre-sale of the token?
I can handle this one. No, there will be no pre-sale, and as we said earlier, our token is a fair launch token, and no pre-sale of any kind is planned. And token rewards was and will be the main way of getting tokens. So there is it.
Wow, these are so much quicker than what we just had.
Yeah. I'd like
So
to keep it brief.
Yeah, let's keep going. Are you planning to airdrop some tokens to early users, like the OpenLoot VIP token holders airdrop? Early users, I mean, before eco launch.
Well, we actually have some airdrops planned. You already may have seen that OpenLoot VIPs got an airdrop. And we will announce them quite soon. But in any case, we are aware and cautious that token airdrops should be designed in order not to undermine the value of the token. So you can expect some airdrops around TGE, and we will announce them with a full breakdown of design and logic. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Sure. We feel that the daily rebalancing of token drops is happening quite frequently. Do you plan to continue these adjustments after the TGE? And is there a possibility of returning to the drop rates from day 1 of phase 2?
Yeah, basically when Vibe was switched to what drop lately. We have designed the economy in a way to minimize the amount of the adjustments that have to be made at any times, and basically we want the economy to balance itself. First of all, because of this, it would be incorrect to give like any projections about the drop, about the way drop rate depends on what you do in the game, because it actually depends on quite a lot of factors, with player activity being the main one. With that being said, any adjustment being made to the drop rate are made to ensure that the economy is healthy and sustainable.
Yeah. And I think we were quite upfront about this from the very beginning when test tokens and all this stuff, you know.
Yeah,
a lot of this
pretty
stuff
much.
is iterative. But anyway, could we have a table showing the drop rate based on total luck?
Well, there is no fixed rate, like I mentioned previously. Basically, the drop rate depends on the amount of active players we have. So, for instance, if one day all players like stop collecting token rewards and only one player collected all the tokens, the drop rate will inevitably increase. But then the other days, like all the players start collecting rewards, and the drop rate will decrease. It's a live economy system similar to what could have been to what you could see in real life. Therefore, we simply cannot describe it with like a short 1 or 2 tables. I hope
Sure.
that answers some of your drop-related questions.
If the lease of the sub-island
yeah.
expires, will the equipment on the island still be there? As of right now, at the end of rent time, and also if you demolish or get rid of the additional island, all buildings on it are destroyed, except for NFT assets such as decorations. They're not destroyed. Instead, they get sent to your mailbox, and you can collect them, and they'll be back in your inventory. So that's safe at least. And a very similar question. I currently lease 1 main island and 5 secondary islands, each with different equipment and upgrades. If the rental time is up, will those devices disappear? The answer to that is yes. If the rental time runs out, the devices, which we would normally call building objects, right, they will disappear. So we're talking about additive or additional islands here, and we are aware of this. This is a technicality. We're working to fix it. However, even now there is a way to work around the problem, and I'm telling you this is, not the intended thing, but I'm glad that this exists. So right now, there is a way to not lose objects. You need to rent a new island a few hours before the end of the rental time and change it. That will circumvent this thing. But even if this is not something you want to do, we will get to fixing this eventually. This is not working as intended. So the difference in token drops between common and legendary equipment is very small. Are you going to address this? I see this question a lot, and every time the problem here is that there's vital information missed in this question. The difference between legendary and common rarity in terms of pure luck value is substantial. So why are you asking this question? Why do you feel like it doesn't affect your drop? What difficulty adventure are you running? What is the size of the island? What is your other equipment's luck? There's so many things here because drop rate doesn't depend on just one thing. It's not just, you can't keep running to the same island just by increasing and upgrading luck and expect the tokens to drop. That's not how this works, right? So it depends on how you play, what you do. It is true that a single legendary collectible item will not increase the drop rate substantially to notice a difference when going on low adventures like this. So what you have to do is you have to keep progressing. You have to keep moving forward. You have to go to higher difficulty islands. You have to upgrade all of your gear. And the more level ups, the higher the rarity, they will start to add up and become very substantial, right? But you're not going to notice, these things just like that, just by upgrading one level or one rarity.
I think it's worth saying that regardless of how bad we want to answer to such questions, when they come in the form of why X is not higher than Y, without any additional information present in the question, just like Tom said, it is quite impossible to at least understand what situation and what case is being referred to. So what can I suggest is those questions are better suited not for AMAs where we obviously cannot dive into details, investigate anything and so on. But if you and some players have been doing that already and have been providing such kind of feedback for us, and we almost all of the times look into the matter and come back with some answers or elaboration on what is missed or what is wrong, or explanation of why everything is in line with the design. I suggest you forward them to respective part of the Discord, where community members, maybe moderators, maybe someone from the team will in the end will be able to ask you additional questions or look deeper into the matter, because why my item does not drop tokens more than it has to is a question that is impossible to answer.
Yeah, a lot of variables. And we don't normally do this, but CryptoLord asked, or rather said, we have data and I can share. If you keep the current drop rate for higher rarity, I can guarantee now we'll upgrade. Once again, data is good. In fact, I encourage people to do this if they really care. This is great. But once again, did you really loot every single item on every single island? There's just, when it comes to data, what you have to realize is there's a lot of variables here. And these kind of things will keep changing as soon as you go up and up and up. So it's not equal to say that common rarity and upgrade from level 1, luck level 1 to luck level 2 is going to be the same as legendary rarity upgrade level 1 to level 2, right? These things don't scale linearly. These things actually use formulas I don't quite fully understand myself, but our economists have worked on this. But fundamentally, it isn't so simple. Just continue. My advice is, and we understand that this is a sentiment that a lot of people have shared. This is a sentiment that too many people have shared. So my advice to you guys is just keep progressing through the game. Higher difficulties, higher rarities. Once you start to really hit those high numbers, you're going to start to see much more yield on these things. Anyway, let's stop on this for now. We have a lot of questions to get going. So. Which question am I? Is this the one, right? Are you going to fix issue where the higher the luck, the more tokens we drop? So the drop rate of tokens is always higher for those who have higher rarities and higher luck. This isn't an issue, right? So I don't know why you're referring to it. That's just the way the mechanic works. And if you're referring to the fact that you feel like this isn't working as I just described it, this is likely because of other factors that you haven't taken into consideration. Island difficulty, luck scaling not being linear, things I just mentioned in the previous question, basically. The next question is, will the rarity of equipment really have an advantage on token drops?
I guess I'll take this one. The higher the rarity, the higher the luck. The higher the luck, the higher the token drop. So yes, actually it is incredibly important. Rarity increases the base luck value of the item. And as we know, base values for parameters impact the scaling massively. So the short answer is it is really important.
Yeah, and just to sort of you guys played Dota, League of Legends, right? When it comes to late game scaling, basically you build a bunch of items, they increase your scaling, right? Multipliers. But certain champions, certain heroes, if it's Dota, have higher base stats, base values. So it is extremely important to have both, obviously. At one point in the early game, base scaling might be more important. Later on, multiplicative additive scaling can be important, right? Maths is not linear, like I said. This is the main thing that I'm trying to get through to you guys. Anyway, enough lecturing.
Now I'm curious, who do you main in Dota? So
yeah, Tidehunter. let's go on. Are you planning to implement a system where the higher the world level, the more tokens we drop?
Well, this is partially how it works now. The higher the adventure level and tier, the more efficiently you can mine tokens with the equipment of the same luck level. I feel like we are saying it time and time again, but yeah, there is actually a connection there. So, yeah. And I guess I'll take the next question, and Tom will answer this one. Founder equipment and islands have no real advantage for the appropriate players. The founder set cannot be fused, so there should be stat bonuses for it. Are you planning to do something about this?
So, I hear the founder equipment question time and time again, and I'm going to answer it time and time again. Founder equipment can be used to increase rarity. They are essentially a reagent item when upgrading other items. So that's the first thing. The advantage of founder equipment, therefore, was to obtain higher rarity items at the start of the game, without having to make a lot of common rarity items to increase the rarity, which takes a lot of time. You just start, if you have Founder Island, at a base high, rarity. So you have that boost, you have this pretty high high rarity item. You don't need to get up to that point. But we don't want you to just buy a single item, get the Founder item, and stick on it for the rest of the game, right? We want you to be able to upgrade. These are not pay to win. These are not the best items in the game, right? This was not their design from the beginning. Their purpose is not to be incredible so that you can never find an upgrade for them. They are powerful starter gear to help our founders make a fast start on progressing through the game. This will not change. That's their design. We're not planning to do anything more about that. Will there be rewards for players who have been part of the project for 1 year? Right?
Yeah, that's something that we have answered time and time again. Of course, each and everyone who participated in early access will get some type of reward. In the end, each and every one of you who are we extremely grateful for will get something from us. Don't worry about that. We got you covered, and we are hard committed to that. We have said this before. We will say it again because you will probably question us about it again. But nothing changed on that front.
Yeah. And I mean, people want reassurance, sure. But you have our reassurance. We have not forgotten. Why does this game have such high costs to craft high rarity items? To make high rarity items, we need to spend lots of tokens and gems, but it isn't worth it. Because then there are increased costs, fast charging fee, luck level, and this offsets most of our profit from getting a higher luck level. That can't be good for the economy, because the system doesn't motivate players to spend their tokens and gems to upgrade gear. It's simply not worth it. So my question is, isn't the cost to fast charge high rarity gear too much? We're skipping the same amount of time, but the cost is if we're doing it multiple times compared to low rarity gear. So, Andre, it's good to have you back on the mic.
I guess I'll answer this one. Yeah, so obviously everyone noticed that charging of high rarity items comes with increased cost. However, of course, the design is made in the way that the difference, resulting difference, does scale significantly with the increase of rarity. So what that means is that, of course, playing with higher rarity gear will get your costs of charging higher. However, increase of token drop rate goes even higher than increase of cost. So it's always owning the high rarity items does get you economic advantage and does increase your efficiency. The idea that costs are variable comes from the fact that it is fundamental to keep the economy in balance over the whole scale of rarities. So yeah, I think I answered most of it. And I think that if you have played with items of different rarity, you obviously must have seen the difference. That is not negated by the changes in the costs.
Which makes perfect sense. So why does increasing luck level also increase the fast charge fee? A similar question, Andrew.
I think I will answer short for that because same like with increase of rarity, the lack of items increase. Same goes to increase of luck level. Effectively, it's not the rarity change or the item level change that affects the numbers associated with the charging, but the luck value. And since it can change by two means, such as increase in rarity and increase in luck level, obviously both of them affect the numbers you will see in the charging.
Right. How about higher luck rates, higher rune and essence drop?
Well, that certainly is an interesting idea, and I guess Tom can like confirm that we have thought about it, but we need to see how it will work in the current system, as well as how it will affect the overall economy and progression. So as of right now, all I can say is that we are investigating this idea. And I think that another question is the one that Tom was covering like time and time again. So when could we expect multiplayer?
Multiplayer, of course, this is a big one, and justifiably so. I think the game was marketed from the very beginning as an MMORPG, so it's fair enough, and we're definitely heading to that point. But simply put, multiplayer is one of the biggest features that we have planned for future updates. It is a core part and identity of the game. We cannot just disclose a date yet, however, because it's too early. So we're focusing on the economy, as you can see, but a lot of behind the scenes work is already being done to push us in that direction. You have my word. A lot of things are happening. We are getting closer, but not quite there yet. The next question is probably my favorite in this one. You can put my question into a low priority, but when can we get a new loading screen? So our team is working non-stop, and they've been doing absolutely incredible. We have recently updated the login screen, as you can see. We'll get to the loading screen soon. And also, art like this is actually quite important for the project and in games in general. It helps the overall fantasy and feel of the game. I personally really love splash screens because they can sell you on the vibe that the game is going for, right? It's part of the fantasy. So this isn't a low priority question, my friend. A perfectly reasonable one.
And will the new maps be accessible for all rarities, or will there be any restrictions? I think that this one goes out to you because to you, Tom, because like you're the one
Game
dealing
design,
with maps.
sure. All the new maps fall into a general pool and can be found at any level and any tier depending on the selected size. So if by new maps you mean new biomes, then the way it will work is like this, right? Each level has 4 tiers. So L1, 1, or L1T1, L1T2, yada yada. Each level has a distribution of different biomes. So right now, L1T1 will be forest, L1T2 will be winter, etc., etc. I'm not going to randomly spoil the upcoming biomes, but you can start to see how, across a level, there will be multiple biomes. We are doing this partly because we want to introduce variety pretty early on into the game. I think this will destroy a lot of the monotony. Not to, mention procedural generation and level stuff, but we'll get to that in a second. So at the next level, they will repeat again. But next time, when you get to level 2, tier 1, which is once again the forest biome, it will have a visual twist, like autumn, L2T2 will have a winter biome with a slight different visual flair to the level 1 winter, right? These are not fully new different biomes, but they're a little bit different again. So going forward with a little bit of visual variability. If, on the other hand, by new maps, you mean literally new adventure maps that are added to the current biome pool, then no, they will just be added to that pool and randomly selected upon loading, if that makes sense. The next question is, why aren't you...
I would add here that I would add to the previous question that probably it might have been referred to the restrictions on the rarity of the gear or specific equipment that is required to access a specific adventure that is present in big time per se. And I think I answered this question before. Would reiterate the answer. we don't like the idea to restrict any content for players who own specific gear, except for the power of the gear, the level of the gear, which is natural to MMOs. We intentionally did not design the game to restrict access to any location if for the player. If you are able to get there by means of having the right power of the gear, having access to the portal that takes you there, and so on. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure if it won't be a spoiler, but we don't have all the features and all the functionality related to the portal implemented that is responsible for like traveling to different locations, and there would be some changes there, but they will not come in the way that from now on only legendary gear can access a specific location. We don't like this idea, and we want to have one criteria of what unlocks the content for the player, and primarily that is something that has to do with the power of the character itself, for the character to be able to defeat the monsters that are on the location that he is.
Yep. And another question is related to Luck Cap. Why aren't we being transparent with the Lucky Cap? Add a small icon to close. Add a small icon close to the island. I'm sorry, guys. So we can click on it and take a look at island Lucky Cap. Well, at the moment, luck level is if the luck level is higher than the island level, you'll see an alert that the drop rate has been reduced. But the dependence of luck level on the adventure is not so obvious right now, so we'll think about how to make the description more understandable for you. It's actually something that we've been considering. So thanks for the question. Another question is related to marketing campaigns. So can we expect marketing campaigns with KRLs on launch like Big Time did, or are we going for the no advertising way? I like this way, honestly. So I'm sorry to maybe disappoint you, but we actually do have a quite extensive marketing campaign planned for TGE. And of course, we want to attract as many new players to WorldShards as possible. We are 100% committed to making WorldShards one of the most prominent Web3 games on the market in 2025 and beyond. So there is that, don't worry about it. Of course, the idea is to build a game that will last for decades, and it is possible by attracting new players, and of course, it's possible thanks to your support and participation, which we greatly appreciate, and it's actually the main thing that drives us forward. Okay, can somebody please take the next question, like read it out?
Of course. What are the team's advertising plans for the future to increase the player base without burdening players who are already in the game?
So it's sort of connected to the previous question, and as I said before, we have extensive marketing plan for all things going far beyond the TGE, and number of activities aimed to further increase player base and game exposure. One of the key milestones planned for the future is to release mobile version of WorldShards that would allow you to play on the go, and would allow us to onboard millions of players that are using like only mobile devices. So we are sure that the launch of mobile client would be a key milestone to expand our audience far beyond what it is right now. And I think that we're already doing good, but when the mobile version drops, things would go crazy. Another one marketing related question.
So let me read the next one for you. So if team makes partnership with influencers, make them locked in the game, sending them soul-bound artifacts and islands that they can sell only using the game. Don't go boss fighters way that gave away to give away the best boxes and items to influencers and communities to dump on players' heads?
Well, as somebody who personally deals with a lot of ambassador-related stuff, I can say that each and everyone in our team is happy to admit that as far as we see, most of our active ambassadors and influencers are deeply involved with the projects, and basically, despite dabbling in some marketing collaborations, we do believe that it would be wrong to buy the attention by simply giving some unique preferences in the game, and we do not do that ever.
What we actually are doing instead, and we have plans to develop this further, is to increase the amount of tools that are available for all ambassadors. Of course, we have the ambassador program that is coming from OpenLoot, and we are doing some extensions of that that are unique to our game, and we will continue to do so. With the main goal is where the main goal would be to provide ambassadors with more tools that can help them grow their audience and benefit from increase of their audience, at the same time spreading the word about the game.
Yep.
So this next question is, why is it more efficient in terms of tokens earned per charge to complete smaller dungeons, so the 16 rune ones, compared to the larger dungeons, 96 rune dungeons? Could you explain this mechanic and the balancing factors behind this difference? So a lot of people have been asking this. So this is this one. This is why do the small islands feel more efficient? And in essence, the game and economy design is made in a way to make all locations proportional equal. Well, as best as we can. But that's what we strive towards, meaning that big locations always have proportionally more rewards for the time that you invest into it, for the runes that you pay to get into these locations, right? The only guess I might have in that regards, and this is literally what Andrew was talking about earlier, when we don't have all the data, we can't go case by case. But this is my guess. It is very easy to miss something. Loot sources, hidden chests, a couple of puzzles, this, that, and the other, maybe an NPC that you might have missed by killing. And therefore you're not getting all of the rewards. A smaller island has a much more simple layout, and all of the things are very visible and easy to find. And in general, when you're playing for 5 minutes, you tend to be more attentive. When you are AFK farming, brain rot sets in, and you've been trying to clear a location for 45 minutes, you might get a bit tired and miss something. We just don't know, right? So we're looking into the analytics to make sure that it does work as designed, and if there are no discrepancies with rewards, that's important for us, because that's what we're striving towards, right? If we find that there is an issue with this, we will inform you guys and we'll fix it, right? But so far, we think this is the problem. We think that it's because people are not fully clear in these locations. This next question is about the roadmap. The team has a roadmap and it has a perk system. Tell us a little more about the system and the plans, whether they are close or far from happening. The perk system is currently frozen. We decided that we will return to it in the future, closer to the multiplayer. We believe that the iterations of prototyping and looking at the talent tree for NFT items, which allows you to upgrade certain items' characteristics like damage or health, but such an upgrade of items also requires a lot of rebalancing, a lot of other parts of the gameplay loop. Besides, perks will add a lot more when multiplayer comes into play. We believe that we need to focus our efforts elsewhere, namely the multiplayer, and return to this mechanic when it is the right time. But it is frozen, not cancelled. It just doesn't make sense for us to focus on this. The rewards that we're going to get from implementing it are not going to justify the effort, and we have limited resources. So this is a big question, but it is a question directly related to my work on the project. We have a boss in the game that is completely ignored by the players, since it does not generate any truly beneficial gains, such as extra essences, tokens, increased chances of getting a decoration, or something really rare. It would be interesting in the future for the boss to be a multiplayer event, to generate triple crown of something worth playing, right? Fun, engagement, competitiveness. Connecting this to a leaderboard, the market would be completely looked at. And the question goes on and on a lot about, the different things that this mechanic could be. But in essence, this is just honest to God answer from my heart. At the moment, the boss is essentially a challenging combat puzzle, right? It's got a similar chest as a reward as well, if you notice. In the future, the bosses will be actively used in multiplayer, right? But that's will have to be redesigned when the multiplayer gets here. Once again, multiplayer is a much more important feature, and from that stems a lot of game design decisions. Once we know exactly what the multiplayer for WorldShards looks like, we can talk about these things. These things will start to make a lot more sense, right? It will most likely not be used in the current maps in the way that it is right now, right? So keep in mind that the boss that you see in the game right now, this is essentially a concept piece, a prototype, basically, to see what you guys will think of it. It's not a finished product, and it taught us a lot of lessons as to what players seek for in a boss, so to speak, right? A boss encounter. And spoiler alert, it is technically very challenging. So when bosses and mini bosses and all the boss related mechanics are being pushed back until around multiplayer or thereabouts, this is because they will too require work, right? And if we design them and we implement them, then multiplayer gets pushed back. These things in terms of the order really matter. So we think that this is something we're going to have to look back to a little bit later on. But thing is, bosses will be for the multiplayer players, right? So it only really makes sense to design these things technically once we have that. But yeah, it was an important step for us. So phase 2 costs for speeding up recharges are going to stay for phase 3, or are we going for a slower gameplay style where you can lose money speeding something up? Something like Big Time is nowadays 99% of players only slow recharging their hourglass. So I think someone else can maybe take this one.
Yeah, I could take this one. So we've designed the charging speedups in a quite different way, as you could have seen in phase 2. And one of the goals for that was to ensure that at most of the times players would be able to play more. We don't plan to do any drastic changes to the design. You've been able to see during the phase 2. So I'd say that you can expect something similar to phase 2 at TGE. We also have quite a lot of content updates in plans. I think Tom already covered some of them. So it would require quite a decent amount of playtime, and we hope that you will enjoy it.
Oh, I'm talking with a turned off microphone. So we've been doing this for over an hour, and there's still quite a few questions to go. I guess this is the time. Are we continuing this, Andrew? Is this do we keep soldiering on?
I can go on for. I think we can cover at least part of the questions here, and maybe provide some written answers to the rest after in the written recap.
I mean,
so
maybe I can just do a video or something. We could talk about this, right? Let's just keep pushing on. Yep. So each weapon is like a class in WorldShards because they have different skills. What if all the armors got divided randomly into 4 categories? Ninja, tank, mage, healer. By the way, I absolutely love that this question puts ninja as a class. That's so funny. I love that. We have a class-based game for multiplayer. This will add really a new level of gameplay to the game. These classes don't need a whole skill or stuff, just perks for what we have now. For example, tanks will have 50% damage reduction. Healers use some food. It will apply for the whole team. Mages, potions would have 50% boost. Ninja would have 50% Ninja, oh my god. 50% damage boost and stealth. Just throwing this out there. Unfortunately, this is not as easy to do as you've just described. You can't just make 4 armors. The key task of multiplayer is to synchronize players and their actions over the network with each other, right? So after that, we need to synchronize all the related mechanics. Mechanics of aggro, how aggro gets passed between players, the joint behavior of mobs or NPCs and the synergy between them. The synergy between the players is also planned, and the things you're talking about. We cannot speak for standard classes as, say, healer, tank, etc. Because, this is what the design team views WorldShards as in terms of classes. They need to work solo as well, because you will have the freedom, and we want you guys to have the freedom to run solo content, right? To not be dependent on multiplayer if you choose to. So a healer in solo will be probably miserable to play. Imagine leveling a holy priest in World of Warcraft. I'm not talking about retail. I'm talking about classic. It's miserable, right? And if you go back to EverQuest, it gets even more ridiculous than that. But these things have benefits in multiplayer content, right? So essentially less people will play them, and then like in other games like Overwatch or WoW, there will be a healer shortage, and then you're gonna have to wait to find that. We don't want that, and I'm not sure that this is the way WorldShards should develop. However, deepening gameplay by adding different builds, some with focuses on controlling NPCs, others focusing on executing them when they get to low HP, others providing auras. Once again, these are the things that we're looking for. These are the ideas that we're considering. This is all just an idea. This is not confirmed or anything, but this is likely where WorldShards will go and the general direction that the team is thinking in right now. We want everyone to have the ability to do damage, but different items will allow for your characters to excel in other things too, and other parts of the engagement, sort of starting off or finishing or mitigating damage or whatever, right? So that's kind of hopefully answering your questions about classes in WorldShards. What and when can we expect an automation update? We will be able to make a whole factories. It was planned to automate the process of resources and work with, basically beds. And at the moment, this is not a priority task. So please do not think of automations as something at a satisfactory or Factorio. We're not going for this level of automation. That's not what we're envisioning. Just a way for you to simply organize and save yourself time once you head off from work. Go back and, one of the automations has happened and some resources have been produced. It's going to be much more closer to that. The auction house will not be a way to multi-accounters to send gold from their alts to their main account, right? How will the team prevent this? Rob?
Well, yeah, I can take this one. We have some ideas about the auction functionality that would prevent multi-accounting and pulling resources between those multiple accounts. And we will announce and disclose those mechanics in time, a bit ahead of the auction house implementation. Stay tuned for the updates. Auction house is coming, and yeah, we are going to make sure that it's not abused. And your favorite topic, Tom, dungeons. Are procedurally generated dungeons coming anytime soon? My brain is tired of doing the same dungeons over and over again.
So actually, I've been seeing a lot of this stuff from behind the scenes, a lot of stuff that we can't show you guys. The location generator is being developed, and it is one of the core features. It is, of course, subject to being prioritized and set in our roadmap. So this is one of those features that is comparative to the multiplayer in terms of its complexity. It's just different people responsible for making these things work. So that's why we're tied down so much. We have a lot of features, pretty big features being in development right now. We will give more updates, but launching multiplayer and moving closer to that's finalization is something we're focusing on. By the way, my voice is going. I'm starting to lose my voice now. Moving on. Can we get OpenLoot or OL from OpenLoot to be rewarded in our first official leaderboard post-TGE? We gave them shards. They should return us some OL. Andrew?
Yes, I'll take that one. So yeah, actually, it's not exactly the same thing as described in the question, because effectively OpenLoot, both rewards and benefits are function of activity in any of the games. So activity in WorldShards also counts to whatever is there related to OpenLoot and its rewards. So effectively, it's not that holders of OpenLoot are some other users that are not engaged with WorldShards. And I guess you have to think of it as an ecosystem resource and incentive that is like the progress in which is achieved by engaging with any of the projects in the ecosystem, including WorldShards. So users of WorldShards are also receiving same amount of benefits related to OpenLoot as players of Big Time per se. So we, though, are planning to develop this and to have more incentives within the ecosystem, but we are not able to disclose that for now. We are working on that together with OpenLoot.
Yep, and the last question is, do we plan to integrate any artificial intelligence stuff? I see many projects doing AI BS without any purpose, just trying to catch the hype. Don't follow this path, please.
So actually, artificial intelligence is very exciting for me personally, and one thing I could say is that we're closely following the innovations in this space, right? At the moment, there are no plans to introduce AI in this way into the game. But in the future, if such a need arises and we actually see a good fit, we will consider that. But just to sort of pause your fears, we won't introduce AI for the sake of introducing AI, right? Some of the benefits to the workflow that AI can bring is genuinely exciting for a smaller studio such as us. But at the end of the day, AI is best used as a tool sparingly and thoughtfully, not just implementing it for the sake of implementing it. So I fully agree with you. We're not going to be doing this.
I guess we have to stop here for today, but let's make sure that we will post the answers to the rest of the questions that we've got in the AMA recap, not to leave any of those unanswered. And yeah,
sure.
I think.
But can I maybe ask you, Andrew, some of the questions that people are asking actively in the chat? They're much smaller, so
sure. Let's do that.
So the first one comes from Silver Andy. Hey, RNG gods, I know this question concerns us all, and it's okay if you don't have an answer for it, but how much do you guys predict the listing price of shards? I think we've talked about this, right? Maybe, maybe not.
I need to figure out a way how to answer this question.
Since we're keeping things short, should I recommend maybe answer? Yeah, let's maybe talk about this in text and move on to a simpler question.
Yeah, I'll just simply say that all the specifics about the TGE you can and should expect with the exact announcement when the date would be fixed and defined. Because obviously we are not announcing TGE because we are working on adding additional partners to the listing event. All of that affects number of criteria, parameters that are finalized when the list is fixed. So as long as we are working to finalize the list of partners for TGE, those terms, those parameters are not set in stone. And whatever I say to you today, based on our understanding, might be inappropriate or untrue if we make any changes. So until everything is fixed and finalized, we obviously will not be communicating any specific details, and that makes perfect sense based on the fact that it involves not only us as a project and our decisions that we make on our own, but also number of partners that are collectively deciding and defining the design and the logic.
Makes sense. The next question is from Billy Butcher. Can we rent our equipment in the future? So we're talking about weapons and armor.
I think that functionality has never been planned to be removed. So yeah, you will definitely be able to
I
do
thought
that.
this much as well, but that's good to confirm this. So yes. Can we farm token again before the leaderboard ends? Asks Saint.
I don't think that we are planning to anything like that to happen. So the leaderboard related to crafting is basically will basically involve players who have been participating in phase 2, as I answered before. And yes, we recognize that some of the players who were not active might be left out of this event, but rest assured that we have a number of other events that will involve other and all categories of players that we will launch later on. So maybe this event is would not be available to some of the users, but taking the data that we see and taking that almost all our audience, with no exceptions, were part of phase 2, we believe that there's a decent amount of players who are able and will be participating in this event.
And I think I will take the last couple of questions. So Benny says, don't do mobile. That's a bad idea. And I'd have to disagree with you, Benny. I think mobile is a great idea. And this was our vision from the very beginning. Everything from informing our art style to also looking at bigger games that have been very successful on mobile, namely Genshin Impact. The way that game looks, the way that game runs, it's amazing. So actually, I will disagree with you. I think going for mobile is the right thing to do, and it will help us reach a lot of users, especially in Southeastern Asia. That's just a few examples. I could go on and on about why it's a great idea. So that's definitely where WorldShards is heading. And the last one is more about the sentiment that a lot of the questions that we answered here were just soon, right? And I completely understand that we've actually announced a lot of things for WorldShards, and we're working on a lot of things for WorldShards, and you guys are playing WorldShards and enjoying it, and you care a lot about when these things will come. However, I think we both want these things to be revealed and available to you guys at a high enough quality. You do not want us to just be like, here you go, half-finished product. So for now, let this be a meme in our Discord, but the answer is soon. We will only reveal something when it is ready. We are working on these things hard, and we are working on these things every working day. So just keep having an eye on the news channel. Keep coming to these AMAs. A lot of things have been announced, but a lot of things will happen. Just got to let us work. You got to let us cook a little bit. So sorry that you feel this way, but I'm actually very excited for the next couple of months. And if 2024 was the biggest year for WorldShards, 2025 will be the biggest year for our project for sure. So we're just going to keep heading in the direction that we believe is right. And thank you guys for being here. I think that's it from me.
Yep, pretty much.
Thank you,
Thanks for coming,
everyone.
and yeah,
It was pleasure seeing all of you here today.
Bye bye.
Take care. Have a good evening.